hear Stephen A's agenda on Wednesday, July 30th. But guys, would you be cool if we talked a little football?
Yes.
Why not?
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. Let's do that. So as
well, why don't
NFL
you sit up
season is
straight,
a
Molly?
month
Why don't you
away,
sit up
we
straight instead of
continue our
leaning?
divisional takes. You're on a delay, Stephen A. And today, lock in on the NFC East. So let's look at America's team. Yes, Micah Parsons is still unsigned, meaning he has not yet agreed to a contract extension with the Cowboys, while folks have criticized Cowboys owner Jerry Jones for taking too long to pay his stars. His son and executive VP of the team, Stephen Jones, went on 105.3 The Fan and spoke on the situation. Listen up, gentlemen.
We don't drag deals out. We do deals when there's an opportunity to do a deal. And certainly no one knows what goes on internally with a particular negotiation. But, sometimes agents and players aren't ready to pull the trigger till they see other cards play. Mm-hmm. And what we're not going to do is go out and, do something that's not responsible in terms of, just in the name of getting a deal done 1 month earlier. Go do it and pay the guy another $5 million of your cap space, and especially when you're dealing, in our particular case, internally with guys that are homegrown here, and we feel like they want to be here. I always felt like Dak wanted to be here. I always felt like CD wanted to be here.
Okay, Stephen A., a lot to unpack on that one. Are you buying Stephen Jones' comments?
I wouldn't buy a used car from Stephen Jones at this particular moment in time. I mean, it's ridiculous. It really, really is. The words that are coming out of his mouth. We're not going to be irresponsible. And you bring up $5 million. Well, Louis Riddick, you're right here. You're the renowned expert on the NFL in terms of this panel on this particular moment. And Doggy ain't too shabby doing sports talk radio for the last 40 years. How many times have we seen Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, the hierarchy of the Dallas Cowboys, the decision makers, make one decision after another in terms of their procrastination that cost them tens of millions of dollars? We've seen that. We've talked about it. We've lamented it. We lamented it last year, involving CD Lamb. We lamented it the year before that involving Dak Prescott. This is what we've had to deal with looking at the Dallas Cowboys historically. I can go back 30 plus years where they delayed paying Emmitt Smith and started out the season 0-2. Y'all both remember that. They had won the Super Bowl. They were destined to try and repeat. He didn't want to pay Emmitt Smith $13 million. They lost games 1 and 2 to start off the season. And then Jimmy Johnson, then the coach, came at the press conference. And for the first time, everybody in the football world had seen him speechless. He literally went like this. And then walked off because he was so frustrated that Emmitt Smith wasn't in camp. And I bring that up because I've said this, Doggy and Lewis, on several occasions on this show over the years. In all my years of watching a press conference for a contract signing, I have never seen anybody more ticked off than Emmitt Smith looked. Go back 30 plus years, like 33, 34 years. Go back and look at that press conference where Jerry Jones was sitting right next to Emmitt Smith, and he had a new contract and he looked furious. Why? Because he said, why am I waiting? We won the chip. We've got the roster in place. Here we go. And he did it then after capturing a Super Bowl championship. So knowing that that is your daddy's MO, that it is something that he has done religiously, you're going to sit up there as the COO, knowing your dad's history spanning decades, how he religiously does this, and you're going to try to point the finger at Micah Parsons, who has stated emphatically and repeatedly he wants to be a Cowboy, wanted to sign early, was willing to take less at that particular moment in time, and you still refuse to do it. But now it's his fault and his agent, and he's holding it up. It's nonsense. Stephen Jones is lying. It's him. It's his daddy. It's the Cowboys. This ain't on Micah Parsons.
Mad Dog?
Well, first off, the year that Emmett did miss the 2 games, the Cowboys went out and won a Super Bowl. So he lost the 2 games, and they still won after they got him back. So even in that situation where he missed a couple, they came back. So if they sign Micah Parsons on September, 3rd, they are still going to be a very, very good team. And one other thing, can I say?
Sure.
Who knows more about money than Jerry Jones? He's got the best stadium in football. His licensing deal. The Cowboys are the -- franchise. Maybe the Yankees, but the Cowboys are the #1 franchise, or the Dodgers, but they're right there in all of sports. He took from Arkansas, he bought this great franchise and it's made it bigger than life. If anybody knows how to handle money, now I don't know if he knows how to handle a football team, but handle money, because he hasn't won since Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
It's Jerry Jones. He knows what he's doing financially. And you and I discussed this last week when Stevie was frolicking. You and I both know that at the end of the day, Micah Parsons, Thursday night against the Eagles, is going to be in uniform.
Yeah, but see, this is the National Football League. This isn't the National Marketing League. This isn't the National Billionaires League, although some of these guys would probably call it that, in their own private time. It's about winning football games. And there's a salary cap. And there's only a certain amount of salary cap space to go around for every football team, and you have to manage that. We're not arguing about Jerry Jones' ability to make money. He knows how to make money. This is whether or not he knows how to timely get his guys signed to where it allows him then the ability to go out and sign other players, because he's getting them at prices that will ultimately prove to be palatable in terms of being able to then go out and afford maybe higher level players to surround those other players with. And when you were constantly waiting and saying, well, you know what? We're not going to go ahead and just set the market initially. Well, you're setting the market in the end anyway, because what you're doing is you're having to go up and go ahead and usurp everyone else that has gotten paid, and you're having to top all of those salaries in order to just get your guy in. It's funny to hear Stephen Jones say, it takes two to tango. Of course it does. Of course it does. It takes two guys to make a deal. It also takes, I would never question their guts or their willingness to go ahead and step out there and take a risk. But sometimes signing guys early does take a risk. It does involve risk. It involves you having to be able to project forward what you think your guy is going to be worth going forward in the future. And sometimes it may put you out there in an uncomfortable area where there's no one else around you right now in terms of what your guy's getting paid. But ultimately, when you're talking about guys who play premium positions, the next guy along always comes along and tops your guy anyway. Why wouldn't you want to be at the front of the line instead of at the end of the line, where you're going to wind up being the market leader all the time? And that isn't always because the players are just sitting there going, hey, man, we're just going to wait until the end. Well, you know what? They may be doing it now, because now you've established a precedent. And if I was a player, if I was a premium player, I'd wait too. I'd wait till the very end.
Hold on. I know that Mad Dog Russo didn't open his mouth and talk about Jerry Jones and knowing money to excuse the drivel that came out of the mouth of Stephen Jones, Mr. COO, born on third base, acting like he hit a triple. That dude. I know I didn't just hear you say that, because let me tell you something, doggy. I don't give a damn that they went and won the Super Bowl year 2. The issue is, having won the first go round, you were still willing to let your star running back wait, okay, and had him holding out the first 2 weeks of the season. You lucky that those players had that intestinal resolve and they didn't walk around pouting and compromise their own abilities and their own success because they were so frustrated with what they were dealing with back then. We fast forward to now. This is a team that ain't been to a conference championship game, let alone a Super Bowl, let alone won a Super Bowl in 30 years. Last time they won was 1995 season, January 28th, 1996 to be exact. That's the last time these dudes won a damn Super Bowl, been to a Super Bowl, been to a conference championship game, okay? And this man is sitting back, and you've got one of the elite pass rushers in the game today, watching a Myles Garrett get paid, watching a TJ Watt get paid. But this brother has to wait. And what's the excuse? Well, you know what? We're trying to figure out a deal. This is worse. This is more egregious than a CeeDee Lamb. You know why? Because CeeDee Lamb may be one of the best receivers in football, and Dak Prescott clearly is not. I'm sorry, 2 playoff wins and going into his 10th year. He's the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League. Go figure that one out. But the real issue here with Micah Parsons is that you're literally trying, unlike Dak, unlike CeeDee Lamb, you're trying to blame him. Like it's his fault when he's been waiting for you to sign him, and you could have signed him earlier for less. Come on, doggy. You can't point the finger and Jerry Jones talk about Jerry Jones knows money. Come on.
You just made a real good point that kind of like blows up their whole argument, which is this, okay? Subjectively, you couldn't find anyone right now to say that Dak Prescott is the very best quarterback in the National Football League. But he's paid as the very best quarterback simply because of their negotiating tactics and their negotiating timeline that they constantly use. And that's not unless there's something going on there as far as Dak didn't want to sign or Dak drugged this thing out and that the timing kind of like played out the way it did because of Dak's doing. The fact of the matter is this, though. There is a pattern that says you constantly are the last one to sign your premium guys at the premium positions, and therefore you pay above market prices. As a matter of fact, market-leading prices. And you need to find a way to get that corrected. You just do.
You know what Jerry Jones and Steve Jones love? And we're playing right into it. What are we doing on July 30th on a Wednesday at 10 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, starting First Take.
We're leading First Take with a Micah Parsons contractual dispute on a Steve Jones interview that he did. Now, who should care on radio in Dallas? He is laughing. Look at those dopes. Those dopes.
Yeah,
Stephen A.
but that's not
Mad
the
Dog
point.
and an Idiot, and Louis Riddick. Those dopes are spending 20 minutes on a contract that we all know is going to get signed by September 5th. Win for Stephen A. Jones and Jerry Jones.
See, that's the problem, though. That's the problem. The win. What do they win?
Well, they're not going to win because they don't got a great quarterback, so they're not going to win a Super Bowl anyway.
Last word here, because I've got other organizations with questions at quarterback and ownership that I'd like to get to. Stephen A., you want to make a quick comment?
I'm just saying, you're not thinking about how Micah Parsons is feeling in all of this. His level of frustration and how that's going to affect him. Oh, he's not thinking about that.
He's an athlete and a great
I'm so
one.
surprised.
Once September 5th comes around, he'll be out there trying to tackle the Eagles. He'll be playing. I'm not worried about it.